So you got that.
Good to
All
see you,
right.
Nate.
Good enough. Thanks a lot. Hey, good seeing you both. And welcome to the Writers Workshop. All right. Here we are. Brother Neil, how you doing, man?
Doing well, man. I'm doing well.
All right.
Praise God.
All right. Brother Chris is gone, but I know he's doing well too. All right. Good, good. And I see you got your beard and the things thick, man. Looking good there, brother. Look like Richard Roundtree. That's all right. Yeah, man. So anyhow, I missed you guys last week. Had something to do. Glad Wendy stepped in.
hmm
She had to do. Yeah. Appreciate you coming on. Actually have two women are going to join us tonight. Talk about really different subjects. We have an event tomorrow, uh, workshop plus open reading. And so we'll have Nicole Wilkerson coming on a little bit later, whenever she can, to join us and talk about that. And then also, in fact, let me see, did I send Nicole, hope I sent Nicole the information. She'll reach out to me if I didn't. But also, we have Angela Bates. Angela and I are we're starting a little enterprise here. We're both certified as death doulas. Excuse me, we're just opening up our practice. I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight too, the work that we do and all that kind of good stuff. But anyhow, man, this is the Writer's Workshop, and here we talk about writing. Yeah, man. So what's going on? Anything popping?
That was me. I mean, I finished up my piece and my book and sent it over to the editor. So I'm just waiting
Okay.
for that to be for him to finish with that. Then I
Uh,
finalize it, and like I mentioned before, have a contest that I need to submit in
yeah.
by June 1.
Okay. That's good stuff, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish you the best with that. I hope hope you do well. Hope you win the bad boy, but hope you do well. Yeah. So that's good. Um, yeah, I'm working on a project too, and I've been dragging my feet, man. I have to send a series of questions in, and I know what I'm supposed to do. It's just a matter of getting to it, brother, having the energy and time. I always make time for everything else, except the thing I should be making time for. But we eventually get there. You know how that goes. We eventually get there. Man, I see there's a lot in the news these days, and I just want to mention this old dude who 81 years old gets a crank call about, a delivery package and extortion, all this kind of stuff. The woman comes to his house from Uber, and he opens the door. This is the thing that I'm just really disturbed by with that whole scenario. And then they show him outside. I don't even know how they got that picture of, must have been someone from across the street who had caught it all on camera. He got the gun on the woman. The woman's backing up, pleading for her life the whole bit. Obviously, she doesn't have a gun. Obviously, she's not no threat to this guy. He's thinking she's supposed to come and do something to him. And he shoots her 3 times and kills her. Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
Man, come on. First off, brother, why would you didn't call the cops, but you opened up the door to the woman. Yeah, I know why you're here. And they're going to come out with a gun.
Right.
What's the guy's name? Paul Mooney, the great comedian. He was telling these jokes on Facebook about how if a white man does something, you know how they break it down and this and that, and oh man, well we got this guy. Said a black man do something, they go right into they call him the N word, of course. Dog. Well, I'll tell you what, you remember next time because boom, boom, boom. He was funny as can be, but it does make you wonder sometimes. You see stuff like this. What if that thing was flipped? How would they treat that whole scenario? This guy's out on his own recognizance. I know he's 81 years old, but come on. And he definitely was scammed, no question about it. But my goodness, so was she.
Right.
And she lost her life? I don't know.
I mean, you know, when you see that, I mean, that's the mentality that they have, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just uplifted probably when he seen a black person,
Yeah.
race. I mean, I saw the whole thing. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for if you get scammed and all this is going on, obviously a lot of things that obviously he agreed to give these scammers some money.
Yeah.
And they told him that somebody was gonna come pick up the money. Blah blah blah. He did not call the police. he just took it into his own hand, vigilant, just like that's what they do,
Yeah,
man. They
that's what
vigilantes, man. That's the
and
mindset.
yeah, and my thing is, how did he get out on his own recovery? You shot and killed a woman in
That's right. He
cold
killed her.
blood.
He's on his own recoil. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. He
yeah.
shot. He murdered him. He murdered. You
And
know.
you're absolutely right. The dude called back while the police were there, and the police even talked to him, and then he agreed to meet with them. Of course, he didn't show up, and it's probably more than one person that's all behind all this, and they thought it was funny. Now look what they did. And so, man, I just hope they catch these guys and throw them under the jail. But back to the older dude, I mean, it's like, sir, you opened the door. That's the only thing I have a problem with, because there was a guy who had a dude break into his garage. The guy was going to try to steal something out of his garage. He sees the guy, chases the guy down the street. He chased him a whole block, and then he shot and killed him. And they said once he was outside of the house, you can't run him down and shoot and kill him. You know. If he
Mm-hmm.
had caught him in his house, then that would have been a different story. But once he ran the guy down and the guy was running from him, that's murder now. Well, if that guy's in prison, then this guy should be in prison. He came out of his house, the woman's pleading for her life. She's obviously backing up and everything.
Yeah.
He still decide to execute her, man. Come on. No. I mean, you're talking about someone who would never walk the face of the earth again. She's gone, you
Yeah.
know. And it's
Yeah,
like,
man.
bro, sheesh.
It's terrible that happened. I mean,
That's
this
right.
and again that he's out on his own recognizance. I mean, he didn't murder somebody. He's out.
Mhm.
Um.
And let's give you okay, you were scammed, but sir, we are the police. You call us. And by the
Right.
way, you know the number, right? 911.
Well, you
Come
know the
on.
number. He called 911 after he shot the woman.
After he shot her. That's what I'm saying. You know the number. Call 911 and tell the police, look, these people are coming to my house. I need you to come over here. And then that's what you do, man. Oh my goodness. We had an incident here where a really well-known poet and author, she young lady, just really dynamite, has her own house, went and got a master's degree and all that. Had three children. The oldest boy, he got into an incident with some folks. He didn't have no gun, no weapon or anything. He's getting all up in the man's face. The husband comes out and he's handling the whole thing. It's a misunderstanding. But the boy is shooting off his mouth and all that. The wife comes out and gets into it. The husband saying, "Oh, whoa, I got this." Tells her to go back in. She goes back into the house. She calls the police. Right thing to do. The police say, "We'll be right up." The police are only 2 blocks away from this person's house. The police, we're coming, don't worry. There's no punches thrown, anything, a whole bunch of bad mouth. And this boy's only 18 years old. The husband's like 30 something years old. Husband easily could have handled himself, no problem. But the husband is, age going back and forth. Wife comes out with a gun. Now, husband's out there already handling the situation. No punches are thrown, anything like this here. Wife going for bed, comes out with a gun. The boy like, that gun doesn't scare me, this kind of stuff. And she said, oh, it doesn't? Point blank range, shoots the boy to death. She goes to jail, prison. But I mean, they're talking about her getting maybe no more than a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Well, the boy did this, the boy did that. He was trapped out there. The boy ain't pulled out no gun. The boy didn't hit nobody. It's all words. But she's gonna come out with her husband standing there now, as if he can't defend himself. Obviously, he could. And she's gonna, break bad, and then she pulls the trigger, blows this boy away. I actually was asked to do his funeral, and I did. I did his eulogy. But his mother, man, she has just been devastated by that. That happened a few years back. And she does a lot of stuff on grief now. So she has opened up her own studio and this and that. And she's written books and poetry and everything about it. But man, how do you get over something like that? How do you get over something like that? And especially when it's totally avoidable, you know? So the reason why I bring all this up is, man, we sure have a whole lot to write about, don't we? I mean, come on. You can't make this stuff up, you know? I mean, come on. Sheesh.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I look at Law and Order, man. I think to myself, they don't ever have to worry about a script. All they do is follow the headlines, And they say the names, if there's also coincidence, we're not writing about anybody in particular. Yeah, right. Every storyline we see, you know. But it is tragic, though. It is truly tragic, man. So anyhow. tomorrow I'll wait till Nicole comes on. I don't want to start talking about it now. And same thing with Angela Bates. We'll talk about that. But we have a real nice program coming up tomorrow. And I'm not sure when Nicole come on. She said she'll just let me know when she can make it on, but she's definitely coming on. And the same thing with Angie. I told them just whatever time they want to give us, So that's what we'll do. But having said that, man, we have a number of things planned, coming up. In fact, thanks to Nicole, she'll be doing something with the Senior Citizen Center. We'll talk about that as well. And everything we do, we try to include poets and writers and all that, and encourage people to, do that writing. So that's one of the things. Let's see what we got here. I think Brother Chris is bringing up the flyer, maybe. Okay. Oh, okay. That's the one I'm seeing. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be next Thursday, by the way, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And yeah, and this the brother that runs that, he does a great job. Les Ford. Les is a real sharp guy. Him and his wife both. His wife is an attorney, and Les is I think Les might have a law degree too. I'm not sure about that, but I know he's a Princeton grad, and I think he was more in social work, but he runs that center, that Senior Citizen Center. Brilliant guy, and so we're looking forward to that program next next Thursday there. Yeah. And I got to give Nicole and a couple other people for really setting that up, making that happen. So looking forward to it. Anyhow, man, what else is popping? Let me see something else. I thought I saw something. Oh, someone tried to call me here. Let me see what that was. Might have been someone trying to get on the Wordshop tonight. Let me see. All right. Well, anyhow, okay, we missed call. Oh, okay. I'll see what that is. All right. So anyhow, we got a chance to work with some young men. I'm hoping they'll be able to come out tomorrow. These guys are all about 14 to 18 years of age, and they're in a facility called in the program called ARC, Alternative Rehabilitation Communities. And I go over and work with them every Wednesday for about an hour. And different people go in, so does Angela, a lot of folks. And this is part of their work. They go to school, and then they get out of school and go directly to this program until about 9 o'clock at night. And they do it 7 days a week. They got to go 7 days a week, even on the weekends. So they came out for our Easter egg hunt, and we call it a spring fling, and did a great job. I want to thank those guys again. They really work with the young people, and they didn't show out. They didn't show attitude. They really did a good job, man. So good stuff. I see where a young lady by the name of Mendiza, I don't know if you saw that, died, only 47 years old. Did you catch that? She was on American Idol. Yeah, great singer, man. She had a heck of a voice. And she won a Grammy back in 2014, they said. And they found her dead at the age of 47. And then I showed the cause at this point. Looked like natural causes.
What's her name?
She went by Mandisa. Yeah, Mandisa. I don't know her actual name, but that was her stage name.
Okay.
And she was in the top 10 on American Idol. And I actually thought she could have won it because she had a heck of a voice, but people have to vote, how America is.
Right.
They called in probably some country western singer. They win the whole thing, Yeah, black one. Yeah. Hey man, by the way, there's a movie out called Civil War. If you get a chance to see it, check it out. Based on the writings that you do, you definitely want to see Civil War.
Yeah, I saw the previews of it. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be kind of, I said, because I had another movie I wanted to see. My wife said, I really want to see this Civil War. And I thought, man, this going to be a whole bunch of propaganda. That movie was good. I enjoyed the movie. It's thought-provoking, man. It's like, come on. Wow. But it's well done. So whoever put that together did a nice job, Yes, indeed. Civil War, man. To think that could actually happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely on the verge now. It's on the verge now. So, I mean, what do you think is going to happen if Trump is arrested or I mean, if he's in prison or even if they lose the election, I mean, that's what's going to turn into.
That's the main thing. If they lose the election now, we don't know the motivation of the guy today. But you see where a guy outside of the trial burned himself in
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what in the man, that's back in the 60s stuff. What are you
yeah.
doing? Burning yourself.
I mean, they ready, man. I mean, you know, I mean, it's on, man. They ready for it. I mean, it's on. So
It really is. It really
it's
is.
going down. I mean, so you can forget about all that. It's going down,
Mhm, mhm.
and that's what happened, man. If he lose the election, man, you know, it's civil war.
Well, he's calling for it. He's calling for
Yeah,
it.
he
He's
is.
gonna
That's right.
be,
He's
he's
calling
gonna
for
be
the
a
same like
dope
he
man.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
talking about
calling. I mean, that's what I mean. It's on. He's calling for it. He's
right,
letting
he's
it be
calling for it.
known. He's calling for it. I mean, he did
Mhm.
all that, and they still. I mean, he's still moving around, man, doing all this stuff. And
Mhm.
here, this man tried to overthrow the government, and he's still walking around free,
And
running for president. I mean, there's some
yeah,
very powerful people that's ready
yeah,
to
yeah.
that want this country to remove
Mhm.
democracy.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Bottom line, we just put a period right there. Want to remove democracy. They want to have he wants to be a dictator, you
Right.
know, and he wants to be on the par of some of the great dictators that currently exist. That's why he run around here talking about North Korea and all these other
Yeah.
dudes, man. He loves those guys, man. And then the fact that he gets all this attention, the news is dominated by this guy.
Right.
When
Right.
they're not talking about him, they're still talking about him. They
Right.
talk about his trial. They talk about this. It's like, man, this guy, he doesn't have to go out and campaign. He got more press than anybody in the world.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
do.
it's like, come on, man, this is crazy. And then the people who say that they love him and he can't do anything wrong and all that kind of stuff, man, you can't change their minds.
No, they're
Uh,
not.
the only thing that I hope will happen is what happened in 2020, and that is that he overestimates the fact that he has those large crowds. He tends to forget. You can have 50,000 people. That's not the country. You know, just because your rally brings in a whole stadium full of people, that don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? Come on. They have 110,000 people up at Beaver Stadium when the Penn State football game comes on, and that looks like, man, you got the whole world. No, brother, that's 110,000 out of millions. And a lot of those people, man, they're not saying anything, but guess what? They see that guy as a clown, man. A lot of them love him, but a lot of them are, sheesh. No, we can't let this cat back in the White House. So
Yeah,
we'll
well,
see what happens.
he has, I guess that's the effort we have to do because one of the things is that it's just like these polls. I've actually met black people,
Mhm,
young black people,
mhm,
young black men who are
mhm.
in Trump's camp who
Yes,
believe Trump is better than Biden,
yes, they do. Yes, they do.
and
But
that's a major problem, man.
that's a major problem. Now, here's the thing. This one guy said yesterday on, I think it was the Karen Hunter show. He said Trump is not going to get any more than he got the first time around. He said they always make it sound like there's more, it's increased. He said, no, he says it's actually not. This guy's Republican strategist. He said what's really happening is they're trying to suppress the vote. He said you're not going to get more African American people to really say Trump's a good guy because they don't. He said, but the ones that you have out there are going to be vocal. They're stepping up there. He said, and they're encouraged to be vocal. So they search them out, man. The cat went into a restaurant and bought up food for everybody, right? And there was two black women. This is down in Atlanta, and they go to whatever college they were going to, and they just went crazy for him, hugging him and this and that. And the one lady kept saying, "Don't think for a minute that black people are against you. They're not. You're gonna have a lot of black support this time." And they all think that that was a setup. They think that, oh, he set that whole thing up.
Yeah, it's set up. It was set up.
Yeah, yeah, he set that
Yeah, he
up.
set it up. It was all staged, and he set it up, man. I mean,
Mhm.
that's all that stuff is staging and setting up, and
Absolutely,
I mean, it's
man. You
just
got
like
the
those
cameras
people.
rolling. Come on.
It's like all those
Mhm.
immigrants that they got coming up. I mean, those people, man, are being financed, man. They're
Yeah,
being financed to get up here. Okay,
absolutely.
they got the money to come all the way from South America and all of. They being
Walking
financed.
miles. Yes,
Yeah,
they
that's
got it.
all. But see, this is what they doing. So this is the game that they playing, and it's
Mhm.
working. And and that's what I'm saying. He can manipulate himself, and that's how the devil is.
Yeah, yeah.
Devil manipulate
That's right,
people.
brother. And the thing
And
that he has is he doesn't have the money, but he has people that have the money that
yeah,
can do
he
what he
got the
needs
people
to
that
do.
got the money. They got
Got
money,
the
man.
money.
They are
Yeah.
they are and I guess that's really just touches on just what my novel is about,
Mm-hmm.
because it really goes back to 1945, man,
Oh
when
man. Mm.
it goes back to 1945 when the CIA actually allowed Nazi war criminals into the country
Mm-hmm.
because they needed their expertise on Soviet Union affairs because
Mm-hmm.
communism became the biggest threat at the end of World War II.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
They
so
wrote.
they allowed
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
those people to come in there, and those criminals, Nazi experts and
Yeah.
Gestapo and SS high intelligence officials, so that they could work as spies and consultants.
Well, listen, they said now, you never know if it's true or what's not, but this is in nationwide reporting, so-called reputable CNN. This guy was on the top. He said a lot of people don't realize that not long ago, Israel was financing and operating with Hamas. What? I never heard that before, but the guy said it like it was just a truism, broke it down, and his reporter said, and a lot of people just, now Hamas, of course, is turned against him. He said, but that's happened many times. He started giving examples of how the United States worked with this group or that group, and then they
Right.
became a terrorist organization, whatever. And they became terrorists once they started going against our interests. That's
Right.
that's the way
That's
he looked
right.
at it. Yeah.
That's
But
true. I
wow,
mean,
isn't that
that's
something?
yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
It's like with Bin Laden when they was
Yeah,
fighting the Russians, America was supporting. So it's all that, man. It's just
that's
like
all that.
Saddam when
That's right.
Iran was fighting Iraq, and they were
Mm-hmm.
supporting
Mm-hmm.
Iraq and with Saddam. So I mean,
And
there's so much going on, man. There's so much out
we don't even know. We only know the tip of it.
there.
Ro,
Right.
how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm
Yeah,
doing
hi,
good.
bro.
Doing good. Just want to make sure we know that you're there. Everything. Yeah. So, are you out tomorrow? You coming to the program tomorrow?
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'd like
Excellent.
to
Yeah.
read something if you have spot for me.
Are you kidding? Yeah, we have a whole 2 hours open spot for everybody, especially the
Okay.
workshop poets. Yeah. And Neil, if you want to come on, man, we'll try to get a laptop out there and hook you up. And if you want to, read something, yeah. So hey, that's what we're doing. Just gonna have some fun with it. Maria's gonna do a workshop, from 4 to 6.
Yeah,
And
my
then
buddy.
yeah. In
That's my
fact, we're
girl.
gonna have Nicole Wilkinson be on a little bit later, talk about the whole program and
Ah,
we'll kick that then. But anyhow, yeah, so we were just talking about how real life things that are happening with the woman being shot, the Uber person who was set up and the gentleman shot her, and then all the other madness going on in Gaza and everything else. It's just like, you know what? There's so much that you could use as fuel for a storyline, you know? And just take it and just go off of it. Some of the stuff is just unbelievable, that's happening. Uh, you just say to yourself, is really? Yeah, really. Okay, the guy set himself on fire. Come on, who does that? And they don't even know why he did. He's in critical condition too, they said. So I know they're going to try to get a story from him before he dies or whatever, but it is something else. So, yeah. So if you had to write, this is just a hypothetical going off into writing, and to all those persons out there in Facebook land, thank you for watching this program. We never asked for money, donations, anything like that. It's just a free program, and we, talk about writing. Ro and uh, my man, Owens Neal here, they are excellent novelists, and also Ro is a poet and also a playwright and director. And so, we have a lot of stuff going on here. So we want you to be a part of this. Now we keep it close to the vest because we want only people that are serious. We've had people come in and try to infiltrate for a whole bunch of nonsense, political stuff and graphic, sexual stuff and all that. So they're trying to sabotage our platform, which we won't let happen. And I thank Brother Chris Thomas for being, diligent and keeping folks out. And we only let people in that are invited in. Tonight, I hope to have in Angela Bates and also Nicole Wilkerson, both coming on to talk about two different subjects, but we will cover that. But anyhow, I like to do a hypothetical tonight. and that is, if we were going to write a autobiography, where would you start? You know that a lot of people don't realize or didn't realize that Maya Angelou's famous autobiography, actually, the one I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, stopped when she was, what, 18 or 19 years old. It was not her complete, you know what I mean? So it was a period of time of her life. And a lot of people write that snapshot period of time. And then she wrote another book or two after that. They never be, I can't even tell you the title of those, but I Know Why the Cage Bird Sing was just a classic that became, but when you think about it, when you actually read it, it goes up to a period of time. So I'm just going to ask my two writers tonight, and we'll all kind of jump in this here. Thinking that you are now the age that you are, if you were going to take a slice of your life, a period of time, and begin to write from that period of time, where would you start? And why? Where would you start and stop? If it wasn't going to be just a whole, but just a slice of your life, where would you start and stop?
For me, it would be 1979.
Okay.
It would be at that point where my spiritual awakening began.
Okay. You wanna give us a little snapshot of it, talk about it, what's going down?
Yeah, I was raised in the church, of course, but I was never really, one that was really what you would call a believer.
Right.
And but all of that changed April 17th, 1979.
Oh man, you got the date down. Okay. All right. Now that's real intriguing. So I don't want to dig deeper than you want to go, but something happened on April the 17th,
Yes, April 17th, 1979, man. I totally I put all my faith in everything. I had a mission, at a spiritual calling and a mission, and I actually dropped off the face of the earth for like 11 years, man. And I just lived off of the faith of God and the trust in God and Christ for 11 years. I totally left the workforce, all of that. And I just wrote spiritual writing and and read the Bible and studied the Bible. That's all I did for 11 years. And of course, I mean, everybody thought I was crazy,
Right, right. Yeah.
And my family, everybody thought I was, I had lost my mind.
Yeah.
Only person that really stood, kind of like understood where I was coming from was my grandmother. But I had to show. I just had to. I had to tell. I had to prove, the word of God that seek not what you don't eat, drink, none of that. Just believe on and everything was provided. I mean, for me for different reasons through different hands, everything. And it was just amazing that I did. That's what I did. And after I after that period was up, it was like, okay, the spirit hit me it's time to go back into the workforce, which is what I did. And I was volunteering for the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Okay.
With the police boys and girls. I was volunteering during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I went back into the workforce, and what happened was they offered me a job. And this was 1990. And then they opened up their flagship in 1991 in Washington, D.C., and they hired me to work there. And I basically was just I had an office in the basement. I was nobody, right? Just a hired hand. But 6 months later, I became the program director, and next year I became the director of the whole facility.
Wow.
He said that's just how the power of God worked. He said it was like God showing me that He was with me and showing everybody who knew me at the time that God was with me, and I just continued to accelerate and elevate throughout my career. And when I left the Boys and Girls Clubs, man, I was director of operations for DC and Maryland region.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, and that
That's
just
good.
shows you the
Mhm.
power of God and
Amen.
believing and trusting. And then through that whole process, man, it was all kinds of stuff, man. I went through it. God damn. You know, you have so much jealousy and envy and people trying to tear you down, man. Oh man.
Uh-huh.
It was all
Oh,
kinds of stuff going on, man. Just wouldn't believe the the things that I had to go through, man. And oh my God. I had so much stuff going on, man. It was amazing. I had this one kid I was coaching. But I used to coach football too while I was working. So I was like
okay.
afterward I coached for and this one kid, he played for me the year before, won the championship, and the next year he went and played for a different group, which was fine. I had no issue with that. And we played the team at a game, and they had illegal players on their team. So I protested against the illegal play. I didn't protest against the kid that played for me the year before. I didn't protest against him. He was legit age. He was fine. But there was so much corruption going on with the DC government because it was a recreation, and they tried to cover it up. And then Courtney Malloy, who was a very prominent Washington Post reporter in Washington, D.C., got the story. You know Courtney Malloy?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And so he wrote a very negative story. Didn't have my side of it. Wrote a very negative story, man, about that the kid was handicapped. You know, he had a growth disorder, and it was all this, and that I protested against him. I mean, he got the story all wrong and man, people was writing letters to the organization on me, man. I mean, people was cursing me and everything. Oh man, had all kinds of stuff. They were they wanted to the community, man, was ready to protest and have me fired, removed. I mean, but I had all my information, man, and I showed them. You know, I knew I was connected with the community, so I let the leaders of the community know that this is false and not true and that.
Well, you said something at the
That's the
beginning,
kind of
though.
stuff.
Yeah, you said you did some 11 years and you did a lot of spiritual writings.
Right.
Whatever happened to those writings, man?
I have it. It's not going anywhere. I actually created a book. I just haven't done anything with it. It's just something I'm just keeping close to the vest, and maybe at some point I will revise it and bring it forward. But I have it. Yeah, it's done.
I hope so. Because that sounds like a lot of commitment went into that. 11 years of nothing but, and then, yeah, I'm sure there's
Yeah, it was mostly studying the Bible, reading the Bible, and history, and just believing and trusting and faith and all of that.
Okay.
And that was the bulk of it.
That's good though, man. That's good. I'm dying to hear from Ro to see, Ro, where would you start if you had to take a slice of life?
Mine is very similar to Neil's. And it's weird because I was sitting there thinking that how God allows you to see miracles, and not necessarily like something that you've been hoping and praying for, but like just to be part of a miracle. 2018, that's when I was really heavy into doing theater. And I did Colored Mamas and Black Baby Boys. Do you remember that play?
Absolutely, I do.
Well, behind the scenes of that, miracles were happening. I had one of my really good friends, Kay, who is an amazing director. And she's just very organized and really great with pulling things together. So she was helping me with this. But the cast that we had, I never knew until we had the cast party of all the things that they were struggling with. We had one cast member who I did not know, just came out of the blue, like saw an ad somewhere that we had posted and it came up and tried out for the part, and he was amazing. Well, he gives his testimony about when he was younger, he had hepatitis. And he knew God had cured him from hepatitis. Well, we got into production, and all these people were critically ill and under treatment, and I didn't know about it. The gentleman who had hepatitis ended up going to for what he thought was a regular checkup and found out that he had liver cancer. And they told him that they would have to start aggressive chemotherapy immediately, you know. And they weren't even sure if that was going to help. I had another cast member who had prostate cancer and went into treatment, never told me, you know. Then I had another member that her husband had congenital heart failure, and that was the biggest miracle of ever, because that happened kind of like later after the production. We were all at a cast party, and they told me this. And I said, how did you go through all this for this play? And they told me that if it was not for this play, they don't know if they would have come through it, because we always started our production with prayer. We gathered in the circle and we started with prayer and we ended with prayer. And I told them that they were more important to me than this production. And in the midst of that, God was working out these miracles. They shared with me, one of the cast members has shared with me about, like, I don't really know if I would have been able to, have the energy, because I would have probably just been sitting home doing nothing if it was not for getting up every day and knowing that I had something to look forward to. And several people told me that. So I would have to say, like, that period of time, and that was like within like a 4-year period of time that I was doing that really God showed me so many miracles, that it really, really wasn't about the theater. It was really about just being a catalyst and saying, God, use me, because every day I'd leave. And if it had anything to do with the play, I mean, I pray every day anyway, but if it had anything to do with the play, I was asking God to cover it. And in that covering, he did, so I would have to say that would be, like that period of time where people shared those things with me.
Good stuff. Oh man. Wow. Both of you. Very intriguing things, and you'll never forget those periods of your life, because I can tell they both, meant something to both of you. And I was just sitting and reflecting myself, and there's a lot of different jump off points for me, but I would say my college years, especially undergraduate, all that, happened from my freshman year through my senior year was just amazing stuff, and begin to lay the groundwork for what I end up doing now. The people that I met, the skills I developed, the interests that I had, all came out of that period, and it was good, man, never forget it. And the thing about it is, I was someone who was destined at one point not to go to college. I mean, I was going to go into the military and this and that, and I wasn't really that much interested in school. It was a struggle and all that. And then all of a sudden I'm playing basketball and I like that. Realized I had to stay on the team, I had to stay good, good grades. And then I started looking at life a little bit broader. And it wasn't until my senior year that I really made up my mind I wanted to go to college, and got accepted, some places here and there, Penn State being one, Clark Atlanta, and ended up at Westchester, strictly around athletics. And that literally became the place that I needed to be, because it was small enough, to nurture me, and then large enough to be significant. And I ended up working there for 4 years, and then, came here. So that would have been my jump off point. That was 1969, 1 year after Dr. King was murdered, and Kent State took place. A lot of people tend to forget Jackson State also had the same incident. A number of students were shot and killed. And we had the National Guard come on our campus and march right up to us the same way. I mean, they were ready. They had the guns out, the bayonets, the whole bit. And we were dumb enough to kind of, stand there and call ourselves confronting them. And then all of the various things were happening throughout the 60s and early 70s that took place. And then we had a lot of significant speakers come to Westchester State, from Cicely Tyson, who I got a chance to introduce, Coretta Scott King. I introduced her when she spoke. I got a chance to meet Farmer. What's his name? Come on. The great civil rights leader. Farmer. James Farmer.
Farmer,
Yeah, very significant in the, movement. And then all the great poets that came in. I have a picture that is just an incredible picture. We went down, I had organized a group called the Roots Society. We were poets. And we went down to Philadelphia because they had this major reading. And it turned out that we were the largest group there. It was either, I always forget whether or not it was Penn or Temple. But anyhow, you had Sonia Sanchez, Etheridge Knight, Ted Jonas, I mean, all of them, Carolyn Rogers, Mary Baraka. I mean, the picture is just incredible. And then all of us students that were there from Westchester. And I marvel at the fact that I was able to get that many students to go down. We just kind of got together and carpooled down and went in, and we go in and we thought this was going to be this big poetry thing, revolutionary. And it wasn't as many people there. We were like, what? And so Westchester was in the house. And man, we just had a ball. And then we took that group picture, and that became like an iconic picture. Everybody wanted that picture, so we always making copies of it. All the poets, Sonia Sanchez and all of them said, we got to have that picture, And so that for me was really the awakening. That became my poet. That was a huge thing that I needed. And then I got a chance to meet all those poets individually because we invited them to the campus. And so got a chance to sit with Sonia Sanchez, Mary Obadelli, just all those folks, And it was really about the revolution too. It wasn't just about writing beautiful poetry. It was about, writing poetry that spoke to something. And so that was some powerful stuff. One thing I'll never forget, my brother, I was in graduate school at the time, and my brother had come on campus. And so he was a firebrand, Nate was out there and doing all this stuff, and he was leading the Black student, and Nate was a protester. He was protesting some stuff that happened on campus. They created at Westchester, the big thing at that time was they created this thing called South Campus. So a football stadium was like a mile and a half to 2 miles down. And you walk from the campus all the way down to what they call South Campus, and all the beautiful facilities, because they brought the money in, the football team, the basketball team, and all that. So all the athletes were way down here at South Campus in these dorms that were really nice. And we were like, man, but there was a lot. I mean, we had a nationally ranked wrestling team. They were up there with Penn State and Iowa. So you had Westchester, Penn State, and Iowa. So when they had the big wrestling matches, Wildwood Sports would come in. And they had the guy, Dan Gable, and all those guys. Those were the biggest names in the Olympics and everything else. They all came right through Westchester. So, that was big. Then we had right down out of Philadelphia, all the great boxers. And we had a guy named Jimmy Clark from Coatesville, who was the #1 amateur boxer in the entire country, almost in the entire world. He beat a guy named Igor Vasasky. And Vasasky was from Russia. He's the only guy to ever beat Tefilio Stevenson. But Tefilio Stevenson won 3 gold medals. So here, Jimmy Clark is in my building. I'm a dormitory director. And Clark comes up to me and says, look, I parted ways with my manager. He said, I'm fighting in Madison Square Garden. It's 11 American heavyweights and 11 Russian heavyweights, and it's going to be a big thing, man. He said, will you act as my manager? I said, what? Heck yeah, I'll do that. We jump in the car with his brother. We drive up there. Jimmy Clark's the biggest thing in amateur sports at that time, literally. Coatesville, Pennsylvania, this cat could hit like you wouldn't believe. And so everyone was wanting him. Angelo Dundee ended up getting him. So we go up there. He's the main event with Madison Square Garden. Jimmy Clark versus Igor Vasasky, 11 American heavyweights, 11, man, it's big. We walk in, he has on a fur coat, all this kind of stuff. We go in, they cameras everywhere. I mean, this thing was huge. And we go out, and who's this here? Okay. Oh, okay, I have to get that person later. We go out, and I'm literally standing in the middle of Madison Square Garden, packed house. Every star, think of all the great stars, all the kind of, everybody's there to see. Greg Page, he was the Muhammad Ali of his time. He was from Louisville, Kentucky, looked like Ali, stood 6'4", handsome guy, could fight like he wasn't as great as Ali, but he was the big man back at the time. And then Jimmy stepped up, and he was the guy. Once he beat Igor Vasasky, that was it. So anyhow, we go in there, I'm standing in the middle of it, and I have the big old pillow, and they have the gift from the United States, and they have the same thing from Russia. And we walk over the stands, the gifts, and the fighters are standing behind us. Floyd Patterson comes up to me and says, Gaston, your man got to do it tonight. Your man got to do it tonight. George Foreman comes over. You got this? I said, we got it. I said, all these cats are just there, man. I mean, how do you explain? I'm no boxer. but I'm standing with all these cats, and they all talking to me because I'm the manager of Jimmy Clark, right? I'm like, man, this is overwhelming. Eddie Fudge, all those guys that died in the Olympic plane crash were there in the corner with Jimmy. And so, make a long story short, he loses that fight that night. Wasowski outpointed him because that was the rematch, and that was the big thing, And Jimmy, he kept taking Jimmy to the body, but anyhow, great fight. At the end of that fight, and I can say it now because this is a long time ago, we walking down the street, and this thing. People, oh man, they just going crazy. Jimmy, this kind of stuff. We go into a restaurant, it's like something out of a movie. All these dudes there, I'm just gonna say it, they're white guys, all sitting there. They handed Jimmy a bag. You did good, boy. You did, oh man, all this kind of stuff. We get back in the car, Jimmy said, check this out. Pure money. It's like, wow. We can stop coming down the highway. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning now. We're coming down, going back to Westchester. Jimmy's driving his old Cadillac, got the fur coat the whole bit, and the cop sees us speeding, so he stops us. And I'm just thinking to myself, if he looks in that car and sees his bag of money, he could be like, what the? And Jimmy had the big old gold boxing gloves, all kind of stuff, It was just like something out of that whole night. I'll never forget that whole thing. And I had that one experience being his so-called quote unquote manager. And then he invited us up to Deer Lake where he signed with Ali and Angelo Dundee. So we get a bus and everybody Westchester night. We go up to Deer Lake and Jimmy's not there. It's like, oh, okay. But the guy, Terrible Tim Witherspoon was working out at the time, and a couple other great boxers who were, boxers at the time. So we had a good time, but they kept saying, where's your man Clark? Where's Clark? And here Jimmy was holding out because he felt like he wasn't getting the right contract. But he went and got his degree. That's the other thing. When he came in, Jimmy was hard, was struggling to read, but that guy, he got in that tutoring thing and he did it. I mean, he was fantastic. So I could go on and on. But I will tell you in that same period of time, now think about this and I'll be done. In my dormitory was Jimmy Clark, great boxer. Day Lipford was the first African-American woman to break the top 5 in the Miss America pageant. And no one ever talks about her. Before Vanessa Williams was Day Lipford. And Day Lipford went to Westchester. But when she got on stage, she said, excuse me, she's representing Delaware University. And that became a huge controversy. It was like, what? She was on the 4th floor of Sanderson Hall. And I'm like, well, what she did was she ran as Miss Delaware, and she had gotten accepted to transfer to Delaware University. So she's from Delaware. So she decided, I'm just going to, so she said Delaware University instead of saying Westchester. And that was not good. But anyhow, we had her, we had him, we had a guy by the name of Steve Bachowski. If you ever saw the Dandruff commercials, Head and Shoulders, the guy that was Steve Bachowski. He went from Westchester, he dropped out, and he had this big contract in Hollywood, did that. The other guy that you will notice, and you can look him up on Facebook, look up a guy named Tom Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. He became a great actor. As soon as you see him, you'll be like, oh, I've seen this guy before. And then also he's directed about 45 movies. And he and I were like best of buddies. We called him Ahab. And he dropped out of school. He told me, I called him after he was on A Different World. He was harassing Whitney. And so I called him and got his agent, and his agent had him call me. And he said, man, I was doing nothing. He said, man, I dropped out of school. My mom was ready to kick my butt out. And I ended up getting this commercial. And next thing you know, boom, I'm in Hollywood he was the #1 stunt man in Hollywood. And so he started, and he ended up on Days of Our Life. I could go on and on. All the kids, we have 440 students in that building. And you ought to see the number of people that walked out of there who ended up doing pretty great things. Henry Poteet, he became the superintendent for Harrisburg City Schools. And 2 years ago, he was the superintendent of the year in New Jersey. And Poteet is, he was just here to speak about a year ago. Great guy, but he was in the building, just go on and on. So that would be the period of time that I write about in my life. And we are joined by Lisa. No, that's Nanette. I thought that was Lisa there for a minute. I don't have my glasses on. That's Nanette Swanson. How you doing? Good seeing you. You're muted right now. You're muted. Yeah. So
I said different hairstyle.
yeah, I see that. Yeah. Anyhow. So I don't want to go too long, but I'm sorry about that. But it's exciting when you think about it. If we were asking the question in that, if you're going to write a slice of your life, a period of your life, your autobiography, what period of time? Neil said 1979, Spiritual Awakening. Roe talked about 2018 when she did her first play, and it had a spiritual awakening in terms of all the people in her cast. And I talked about my college days and how that was a spiritual awakening for me, quite frankly, for so many things that happened. What would you do? Because you had an incredible life, or have had, and still have an incredible life, and some things that
Yeah,
you've done.
that
What
would,
you
I
start?
would, I would have to really think about that because, oh, going way back, my project days and stuff like that, and my marriage and my breakup, and yeah, working with the grandkids. I don't know. I'd have to think.
Backup singer for Shirley Caesar.
Well, no, I didn't. I wasn't the backup. That was Suella. But
Oh, that was you. Okay, I thought it was
yeah,
you. Okay.
I sang with Tootie Spencer and Bill Buck. Do you remember Bill Buck?
Absolutely. Mr.
Yeah.
Reverend William Buck, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
he took us around to different places and we did concerts and stuff like that. Yeah, he
Mhm.
used to sing Old Man River,
Yes, he did.
that was his song.
And I always say he'd sing Acapulco. Capello. He was great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's something I'd have to think about. I could write a chapter about each stage, I guess.
Absolutely.
Um,
Mhm.
when I was coming up in the projects, and then after I sort of like on my own, got my first apartment and all that stuff, and then my marriage, and oh my goodness, I could go sort of on and on and on.
Mhm. When did you start singing?
I was singing at a young age, because I wanted to be a blues singer. That's what I wanted. I was, I thought I was a blues singer and wanted to sing in the clubs like this Dakota Staten and oh, I
Mhm.
can't even think of the old singers that, sang, blues. And I don't
Mhm.
know why. I don't know why I like blues because, well, my brothers and my sisters, they did gospel, and my brother, he was like one of them street corner singers.
Okay.
Odell with the guys on the corner, they'd sing, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now you
So
had a twin, is that right? Did you have a twin?
my twin sister,
Yeah.
she's quite opposite of me. She does not, I mean, I'm out extrovert, she's introvert. She was the quiet one. She was the meek one. She was the stay home one. Just totally different because I was the outgoing. I hung around with girls older than myself.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, and then I got pregnant. She never got pregnant. She never had a kid
Okay.
because I think that had to do with when she was young and had the mumps.
Ah.
They said the mumps used to sterilize you and stuff.
Mm.
But anyway, yeah, she's quite. They said she was like my mom. My mom was a quiet, sort of meek woman, unless you made her mad.
Mhm.
And my dad, they said I was like my dad.
Okay.
He was like mean. They used to say, "You're mean, just like your dad." That's what they told me when I was a kid. So, when they tell you stuff like that, you feel like, well, I got to act like I'm mean. I was the
Mhm.
mean one. So
Okay.
that stuff sticks with you when they tell you something. You're just like your dad, or you're just like
Mhm.
your mom, or you're just like such and such. So
Yeah.
you play the part.
Mhm.
In the projects, I had to act mean to sort of survive, to act like,
Yeah.
don't touch me.
Mhm.
I'm bad.
Mhm.
I didn't mean to
Now,
go
when did
on.
you start singing gospel then? Because you became a well-known gospel singer.
Well, yeah, I sang with Tootie Spencer for a long time. We sang at all the churches. We used to have different groups coming in almost every weekend. There was a church on every corner.
Absolutely.
And I used to follow all the gospel singers that came in town and stuff like that. And then I was a part of the Scott White family when I was at the age of like, I guess 13. They sort of like took me in and I was going down to the church and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I started singing with them and traveling with them. And that was Aldine. I don't know if you know his sister.
Absolutely.
Aldine
Yeah.
was one of the Scott.
Aldine Green, right?
She was
Yeah.
one of the family. Yeah, one of the older sisters. And
Mhm.
She said, yeah, she inducted me into the family.
Fantastic. That's great.
But yeah, I don't know if you know Marguerite Flemings. We used to have a group, Marguerite and
Okay.
what do we call ourselves? Marguerite and the Fleming sisters, or something like that. I can't even think of the names. It was like four of us, 4 or 5 of us, and she did the lead and stuff. And
Okay.
then I used to sing with Huli and the Tiffs, Huli.
Yeah.
We got a record out. The name of the game is called Love.
Go ahead now.
And we was on the Ed Hurt show. I don't know if you remember, he used to
Oh
come on
yeah, are
TV
you kidding me?
out of
Really?
Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the picture of all of us. It was Geraldine Edmonds, me, Huli. Well, he was the lead singer, and Carol Gary. I think it was
Okay.
Gary. She passed away.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, we was called Huli and the Tips.
Unbelievable. Go ahead now. I'll
Yeah,
tell you the stories we can tell, huh?
huh?
Did you know Gloria Spencer?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sang with her.
You sang with Gloria Spencer? Okay.
Tootie Spencer. We call her Tootie.
Oh, that's who you're referring to. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Gloria
yeah.
Spencer. I got
So-
pictures. I
Oh
got
man.
albums and
Well, for
stuff.
those of you who don't know, Gloria Spencer was about, what do you say, about 600, 700 pounds?
Yeah, they had to make an extra like coffin when she passed away
Yeah,
because
they
she
did.
was in a
Yeah.
regular coffin and stuff. She was
I
so,
went to her wedding, by the way, and I was literally in the front row. I could reach out and touch her when they were, and her husband was like, what, 175 pounds?
yeah, he was a
He
little
was like,
guy,
yeah, yeah, real thin. And I was like,
short
what?
too.
What?
Oh,
But
that's
I mean, everyone came to her funeral, dog. James, Cleveland, all those folks, right here in Harrisburg when she
yeah,
passed away. Yeah, that was something else. Yeah, she was well known, you
he
know.
was a good
She
guy.
also set a record typing. She was the fastest
Oh
type
yes,
that they said, I think she's in the Guinness Book or something like that. They said
yeah,
she's a big woman, you know.
right.
I have
Yeah.
a picture I took of them when I was a little kid, and here it was Gloria Spencer, Clarice Kendall, or one of the Kendall sisters. I don't think it was Clarice, but one of the Kendall sisters who was as big as she was, and then another lady. And I don't know, but all three of them were sitting there on this bench. And
Huh.
everyone was like, how long is that bench gonna last? Kind of thing, you know. But it's a great picture though, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Bengal Temple, Church of God in Christ. Yeah.
There goes Temple. That was the place. That's where all the gospel singers came.
No question. That was my home church. That's the church I was
Yeah.
born into and got married into the first time.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So unbelievable. Well, listen, this is good stuff though. Just thinking back to, how we can write and what we can write about. Anyone else have something you want to lay out? Anyone else, Neil, if you had a challenge, challenge us on something. I mean, slice of life or what else? What else can we write about?
I mean, there's wow, there's million things you can just write about. Just listening to these stories, it's stories within the stories
That's
Yeah.
to
right.
write about.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah,
That you know what you touched on something right there, man. That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, because literally you can take that like when you mentioned that 11-year period, man, I'm thinking, boy, just that 11-year period, brother. That's a whole book,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. That was a lot, man. That was
And
that was
you literally
that
did
was a
you
lot.
work at all? You didn't work at all?
No,
Okay.
none, none. It was I refused to. Some opportunities came up, man. I didn't. I stuck to it. I felt I had to do it, and I had to prove. But it's hard, and I don't forget when my grandmother came to me and she said, because I was living with my grandmother,
Mhm.
she came to me and she told me that they're going to sell a house. She told my uncles and all, they're going to sell a house. I
Okay.
said, Mom, Grandma, sell the house. I said, don't worry about me. I said, God will provide for me.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, y'all, you go ahead and sell it. Don't hesitate. Don't worry about me. God will take care of me.
Mhm.
That's what I told her.
Right on.
And
You have brothers and sisters, Neil?
me,
Yeah.
yeah, I have brother and sister. Yeah, they were living with my mother.
Oh, your mother raised them.
Yeah, yeah. She was
Oh,
with she was I grew up with my mother, my grand Well, my mother bought a house, and she moved over there. My brother was moved with her. I wouldn't stay with my grandmother though,
Okay.
and she was like my mother. And during those 11 years, that's where I was with my grandmother during that
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And it was a very difficult time because, I mean, everybody in your family think you're crazy,
Mm.
Yeah, you lost your mind,
Yeah, they thought I lost my mind. They thought I smoked too much weed or something, or had some purple haze or something.
So you wanted to stay with your grandma?
Wow.
I stayed with my grandma. Cause I was with my grandmother. I stayed with her. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
But
why
stayed.
did
Neil,
I stayed.
Nanette missed the first part though. She didn't know that what you mentioned about that 11-year period. Can you break that down for Nanette so she'll understand what you said?
Yeah. Yeah. I was living with my grandmother, and at the time I was in college. I was I work at a part-time job in college. Had a car. Doing all the things that most people do. Young. You know. Black man, all into cars, women, wine,
Mhm.
women, and song, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't think
Yeah,
about no God or nothing like that.
Mhm.
But then just one morning I woke up, man, now everything changed. I just was a different person. I just
Wow.
woke up a different person. I
Mhm.
mean, I was just totally different
Right on.
inside,
Was your
Mhm.
grandmother a praying woman? Did she pray for
Yeah, yeah. My grandma was a very, very
you? She was praying for you.
yeah, yeah. She was very, very, very religious, always at church every
Mm-hmm.
um and I just see I grew up in a we were Hebrew Christian churches,
Oh, okay.
and my grandmother was my grandfather it goes all the way back to 1896.
Wow. Mhm.
And so yeah, so our church was on Saturdays, and we
Oh,
was in church from 9 a.m. to 9 o'clock at night during the summer. It was and then wintertime was like until 6 whenever the sun went down. We
Mm.
was in there all day.
okay.
So what is
Now, do
the
they call you
Hebrew?
guys the Hebrew Israelites? Is that what they call
What
you?
is that?
Yeah, it was Hebrew Christians is Jewish
Okay.
Christian basically is it's a lot of different sects because you saying the Hebrews that be out there on the corner and they're different from them.
Okay.
Um, but basically it's Jewish Christians, believers of Jesus Christ with Jewish customs, Hebrew customs, that
Mhm.
type of
Okay.
thing. Because the
Mhm.
Sabbath was considered Saturday
Yeah.
and so on.
Interesting, man. Interesting. Like you said, a story within the story.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
So
lot.
if you
That's
don't
a lot,
mind,
man.
yeah, yeah.
That was a lot. So yeah, that's why I've read the Bible. I mean, I learned that I know the Bible and studied it because I was looking for things in the Bible to stop believing
Mm.
because
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to believe.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like I'm losing my mind or something. I mean, I'm giving up my schooling, my job. This didn't seem right. This
Yeah.
Mhm.
seemed like common sense. I was looking for something
Some
to,
excuse.
yeah, I looked for something to show me that I was wrong. I mean, I was
Mhm.
looking for it. I was hunting for
Mhm.
something to show me that but the more I read, man, the more
Got pulled in.
the more I got
Mhm.
pulled. Yeah, the more I believed. It just
Mhm.
increased. I just believe. That's what I found.
In your
Okay.
grandmom's prayers.
There you
Yeah, my
go.
grandmother prayers. That's right. Them prayers was there.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, tell me, Neil, did you have one of the processed hair? Did you have the processed hair back in the
no,
day?
no.
No,
I
you,
had the bush. I had the bush.
oh, you had the bush. Okay, maybe I'm going back too far.
I had the bush. I had an uncle that had the processed hair. Yeah, my uncles had that processed hair. No,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I had the
But
bush.
let me ask you know what? Why don't we do this then? Let's talk about since you said there's a story within a story, and they'll open up the whole spiritual piece and your spiritual journey, spiritual awakening. I'm gonna ask Ro the same thing. Ro, did you ever have, and I know you talked about the play and different people and what they were going through, but was there a period of life that you could, put your finger on to say, this was my spiritual awakening for me? When you made up your mind. I know your parents sort of indoctrinate you or take you to something, but then as adults or as mature people, we begin to decide on our own, what we're gonna settle on, what we believe, don't believe, and that kind of thing. How about you, Ro? What was your spiritual awakening moment?
I really have to say when I divorced Theo and remarried him.
Okay. Mhm.
And that's, like, to divorce somebody and then be, oh, apart for maybe 2.5 to 3 years.
Mhm.
And to really know that that you both have found God and you come back together
Okay.
and realize that you're two different people, and again, there were so many miracles around that period of time because what brought us together was my mother getting Alzheimer's.
Mm.
Theo and I were divorced at the time, and my mother loved Theo. She said, even after we got a divorce, I will only ever have one son-in-law. She says, I don't even know why you left him.
Mhm.
Um, my mother had Alzheimer's, and how I found out, she was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and she fell and had a concussion, and she was in the hospital.
Mm.
And I kept noticing like these conversations we had, they just sounded strange. Like she would repeat things, but I never really thought anything of it. I was slightly concerned.
Yeah.
There were so many other things that she was doing well, so I didn't contribute it to anything. Well, to make a long story short, she fell and got a concussion. And when I went to go and see about her, the doctor told me she had Alzheimer's and it was progressing quickly.
Mm.
Well, Theo and I had divorced, and I had bought a house with stairs, and my mother could not do stairs. And as you know, Reverend Gaston, my husband is someone who utilizes a wheelchair. So
Mhm.
he said he was living in a ranch house, and he said, "Why don't your mother just come and stay with me?" And we had gotten to be like okay with each other, but we were still not like, you know,
Yeah.
pathetic. So I was like, but I knew I needed my mother to be somewhere because I was still teaching at the time, and I was trying to run home and see about her, call her all the time, and it just wasn't working out because I lived too far away from where I was teaching at the time. So she moved in with him. Um, to speed up the story a bit, I guess maybe she lived with him maybe 6, 7 months. And my
Mhm.
mother had tuberculosis when she was in her 30s.
Okay.
So she caught a really bad cold and ended up in the hospital on a respirator.
Mm.
Now here's again, I always say, I've had an opportunity to witness God's miracles because by then Theo and I were married. But the miracle came was because I don't know if we would have ever gotten back together because God just sort of like, there were periods of time when she was living with him and I would come and see her. Then my mother would all of a sudden, she would start going back things that had happened in that first part of our marriage when we were really young. Like the time we came to Pittsburgh to see her, and she said, "Don't spend any money on anything," because my mother was she put money in the bank, but she was one of those people that would put money in the hems of curtains up underneath the pillows, things like that. So
Right.
she would tell us these things, and she started telling us these stories about, y'all remember when y'all came to see me in Pittsburgh and I told y'all, and then my mother was a pistol packing mama, her and my Aunt Lucille. She had a little gun that she kept up underneath her pillow.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, she was telling us all the things, like, and I'm like, how you remember all that stuff, but you can't remember what you had for breakfast. And then
Mhm.
she'd say, I'm feeling a little tired. I think I'm gonna go to my room. And then of course I would stay and talk to Theo, and eventually we got back together. Well, the miracle came when I really knew I knew God was Theo went into ministry. He was an associate minister at our church for a while. And my mother ended up on this respirator because she contracted pneumonia and she only breathed on one lung. And the doctors kept telling us that we needed to either make a decision of either taking her off the respirator and seeing if she was going to breathe on her own, or they would have to make the trach permanent. And it was a temporary. They were going to have to make it, a trach and put it in permanently. And we were like, no, 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 don't do any of that. Just hold off on it. She's going to, and this is again where I say a spiritual awakening, because there was a woman who was also her brother was in the IC ward on a vent. and she kept saying, I can't make this decision. Her brother had AIDS.
Mm.
And she kept saying, I can't make this decision. Well, here's where the miracle came and my spiritual awakening happened. One morning they called us and said, come to the hospital as soon as you can. We've taken your mother off the vent and she's breathing all on her own. Well, they did this at least twice. And at one point she stopped breathing. Of course, they had to put her back on because we were not taking her off. Well, the third time, and I always say 3 is my blessed number. I never say lucky. I always say blessed.
Oh,
3 is our blessed number because I got to the hospital on the third time and she was sitting in a chair. My mother had long, thick hair with a hairbrush in her hand and saying, where have you been? I need to comb these knots out of my head. And she was fine for at least another, I'd say another 3, almost 3 years after that. She lived. Now, here's the other part of the miracle was the woman that we were ministering to about her brother. We came that same day that my mother had this reawakening of sitting there with the hairbrush in her hand. And the woman said, thank the Lord because I did not have to make this decision. My brother passed away in the night in his sleep. And it was relief to her because she didn't have to make the decision about whether or not to take him off the respirator. So I say that would be another period of time of spiritual awakening because God showed me that, you know, in the midst of possibly losing my mother, and then also she was the catalyst for bringing me back together with my husband. So those are things that I will always remember as spiritual awakenings because then I saw that God was real, that God was really there with me. You know, so, and it was funny because we had gone through a service where our pastor talked about God's track record in your life. And that always reminded me of God's miracles was those 2 incidents that I shared with you, you know, because you don't just have Alzheimer's and all of a sudden be clear as a bell and say, I'm going to a room, bye. Yeah, so
Hey,
those,
listen, I have Angela Bates on standby. Angela, by the way, Angela, can you come on screen? I don't know if she can come on.
Oh, no, my hair.
Oh, okay, no
I
problem.
really just went through
Yeah,
my hair.
that's
I just
fine.
wrapped it up, but
Cap
it's
on and
okay.
everything.
I just
You
wrapped
know
it
who you are.
You can unwrap it.
I just want to say this real quickly. Angela and I are going to talk for a few minutes here about a business that we have, a practice. It's called the Death Doula. The practice is called Compassionate Care, End of Life Services, Compassionate Care, End of Life Services. And both Angela and I have been certified as doulas. And but on the other side, it's called Death Doula. And Angela, we were just talking about, and Ro was just giving us a fascinating look into a part of her life, talking about her spiritual awakening.
And
And Neil
miracle.
Owens did the same thing. And I don't know if you were hearing it. And also Nanette did the same thing as well, just talking about, you know, and we're going to ask Nanette to unpack some more as well. But can we take a quick detour here because I know Angela's time is valuable. But Angela is, Angela, introduce yourself first. Tell people who you are.
Hello, I'm Angela Bates. I am a certified prevention specialist with Dauphin County Drug and Alcohol Services. And I am an advisor with TRUE, the tobacco resistance unit with the youth in the community. And I'm a volunteer community advocate. I am a Bread Queen ambassador as well. And that's giving bread coins out to homeless people or people with food insecurity so that they can go and eat at restaurants with dignity.
And you are a death doula certified.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and Angela actually was the one who alerted me to the certification for death doula, and she went through the training first, and then I did the same thing. And so it's really become more and more in the, you know, the community psychic, if you will. I noticed that every time I turn around lately, I'm hearing about a death doula. And there was a program on just the other day where they were talking, one of the characters was a death doula. And also the program 9/11, they had it on. But also there's a young lady out of Hershey, Pennsylvania, who has really been, you know, kind of pushing this. They actually had her on Channel 21. I don't know, did you ever see that segment, Angela, where they highlighted the young lady?
I think I did.
Okay. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I was just at an event yesterday. I mean, on Sunday
Mhm.
for birthing doulas and mental health. Yeah, Black Maternal Health Week. So
Mhm.
they were giving out these bags. They have journals, giving out good stuff, good information about mental health as well as maternal health.
Okay, fantastic. So most people know doula as being a birth doula. And just recently, I don't know how far back it goes, but someone decided that, doulas could also be very valuable in terms of ushering someone into, to death. And so death doulas essentially do what we say non-medical, non-surgical kinds of, working with families on entering into that space where, someone has to consider the end of their life. And we have a manual that we use. That thing is like that thick. I mean, it's really big, but it works hand in hand with the family, with individuals, in terms of planning, in terms of setting up how you want to die, in terms of not how you want to die, but when you die, the kind of things that you want to put in place. So whether or not you have all your affairs in place, whether or not you want to be buried or cremated and all that kind of stuff, whether or not you want to be what they call it, an advance directive. I don't want to be revived if I go under. I don't want to be revived, or I do want to be revived. Stuff like that. And so also, but just being able to listen, like we were just talking about our life. And a lot of times, a person, as they are transitioning into death, they want to talk about things that they've experienced or wishes that they have. And a number of people have what they call a bucket list, things that they want to do, people they want to see, places they want to go. And so, a doula will literally sit with a person over a period of time, whether they are transitioning or not, and talk about, that period of their life that will be called the end of life, you know. And the ability to actually, there's a wonderful video. I wish I could show it, in fact. Brother Chris, if I sent you a video, could you show part of it?
Sure, as long as it's not copyrighted, sir.
I don't know if it's, oh, that's a good question. Would it be copywritten? It was a TED Talk. I showed it to some folks, but it was really not in the public domain. It was a class, and that's a good point. It may be copyrighted. I'm not sure about that. But anyhow, and it's all over Facebook. She's out there, and she is a deaf doula. She's from Africa, and she's an attorney, and she talked about how she got into this. And boy, is she good. She's very good. So we won't chance it because it might be something that is copywritten.
So
But
what are you
Also,
calling this, Nate? You said deaf doula? What is it?
doula, yes, doula,
Okay, I never heard
Doula.
of it. I
Yeah,
never heard
yeah.
of it.
Have you ever heard of a birth doula? The birth
Oh,
doula? Okay, well, anyhow, we'll talk more about it.
oh.
Yeah, and doula, they
so
say,
I also I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
also
please.
we are also going to offer services for respite for the family.
Yes.
We'll go in and sit and just talk or just talk on the phone or video chat with whomever as well. So we don't just do that right then. And we do aftercare, we do referrals, we do
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
these
yeah.
all
free,
that
is
good.
these free services or what? Charges?
No, they're not free, but we do a lot of things that are free. But no, there's a cost, but very minimal. I mean, it's not like, you're breaking the bank. But like anything else, it's, it is a service that you provide and that people can seek out.
Does
And
insurance cover it? Medicare or anything and cover some of that stuff?
it can.
Not
Right
yet.
now, we don't do that, right, Angela?
Yes, no, not right now.
Yeah, not right now, but we are moving towards that, and that's a process. You have to be, whatever. But it's so inexpensive. Let me put it that way. You could pay for it. Let's put it that way. If most people these days, Angela, am I right? If you go to movies and get a box of popcorn and this and that, I mean, come on now,
Right.
Going out to lunch
know
and
it.
dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go. Absolutely. So no, it's the kind of thing with Angela and I. Anyhow, I think it's safe to say, and Angela, we can both
Mhm.
talk at this level, and that is that we want to make it affordable for the family and easy, but at the same time, but there is a basic cost, but per hour, yeah, yeah. And Angela was right. There's all kinds of services we can offer from respite care. They even have a thing called the Death Cafe. And the reason why I mentioned a young lady in Hershey, because she just did a deaf cafe. And she said she was shocked to see how many people came out. I mean, the place was packed. And so, but if you do it right and people have an opportunity to talk about it, even having lost somebody or someone's in the process, or they themselves, they've been diagnosed with a terminal illness and they want to talk about it. So there are people who are not afraid to talk about this. But Angela, talk about the whole compassionate care piece, because you started unpacking some of the things we can do.
We offer services like not for like right at the end, but just for family members who don't often speak to their loved ones. We can, be the respite for them and make sure we contact them, call them, go visit them, however they want to set it up. Just to be there for them. We can go sit with them. And
Angela went through our chaplain's training program also, so she's, accustomed to listening, because that's a huge part of it too, right, Angela?
yeah.
Yeah. Just being
This is
we call
mostly,
it being
this is mostly
empathetic.
about death.
And also giving the family resources where they can go to help with the process.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
This is all associated with death, right? This is not like home
Yeah.
care or anything like that.
Well, part
We
of it
can
is.
go along a side of that, but we're not home health care now.
Right. Just like hospice. Hospice is more of a short-term compassionate care kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
my
they are
brother.
there for comfort, most, and ushering the person into comfort. We're a little bit more broader than that, but we can work hand in hand with hospice. And I was literally a hospice chaplain for 2 years. That was my primary job, 8 hours a day. And so I'm very used to hospice. I know how hospice operates. But, doula is a very good companion too, yeah. And we have an office out there in 900 South Arlington that we will be operating out of. And, we'll put up, how to contact us and all that. But, just wanted to let people know that we're here, and that if you don't know about it, we're going to hopefully have an open house pretty soon. Am I right, Angela?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so that people can come in.
how do you spell doula?
DOULA.
DOULA.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
like the birthing doulas, like the midwives.
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with none of that.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And they say the word comes from the Greek, but also I've heard the African derivative as well, one of the African countries. But anyhow, it's it was mostly associated with birthing, helping the person, like Angela said, like a midwife, whatever. And it's
Oh,
non-surgical, non-medical, but we help a person to realize that it's part of life, and prepare for that.
Yeah,
And
and do it a more holistic way.
more holistic way, absolutely, yeah. Because there's so much that can go. Angela had this article I want to share with you. I shared it with my chaplains, and that is the guy said, I don't do religion, I do pictures or something like that. And what he did was he wrote this article because he found out that he wasn't able to connect with this person when it came down to talking about religion. The person kind of shut down. But he showed the person 5 pictures, and he said, which one of these pictures would best represent you right now? And there's all these different pictures. And he pointed out one that was sort of a rundown barn on a farm. And he said, well, why that picture? And he said, because that's where I feel. I feel like I'm a rundown, person right now. And I'm out here in this kind of vast land. And, he said, that picture really represents how I feel and what I think of myself right now. And then he just opened up. He just started talking. He said that picture was like worth 1,000 words. Is that what they always say? And he started giving it up. Before he didn't say anything, then all of a sudden he's like, That's hopefully what we'll be able to do. Yeah. So good stuff. Yeah. Angela, you mentioned some other things that you do, and part of that is everything that she's trained to do, I'm trained to do, will come into that too, because you never know. Just because a person is transitioning, it may also have a drug and alcohol problem. It may also have, other things. So you mentioned at the top some of the other certifications you have. Do you want to mention those again?
Oh, okay. So I have a master's in human services, a bachelor's in criminal justice, uh, um, associate's degree in criminal justice. I have a diploma in medical assisting. I am a community health worker and a certified prevention specialist, a chaplain.
Yeah. Yeah. And all that comes in handy. That's the key, you know, you got all, because you never know when any of that's gonna be needed, because you're working with the entire family, like you said, it's holistic, you
Mhm.
know. And so yeah, a lot of times people have all kinds of questions when they're transitioning or their loved ones transitioning, you know, it's something else.
And
Yeah.
it could be just something that just happened too. So, we're there for the community with like the shootings and things like that. Like we can be there for them,
Mhm.
just to process through it because maybe if I sit on a team called it's a SISM team, crisis intervention, safety management, where we are the people that help the first responders to process through the incident and debrief and everything to make sure they don't have extended trauma where they need to go get therapy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's important. I mean, and I'm so glad you brought that piece up. A person can be, like, you know, for example, a gentleman just set himself on fire up there in New York City.
I know, I
You know,
saw that.
set himself
Thinking
on fire.
why? Why was that?
They're not sure yet. It was outside of the trial, but
Yeah.
he was in critical condition. So I guess if he lives, he'll be able to tell, you know,
Mm.
what he was thinking and what it was all about. But right now, he just showed up, set himself on fire. And I was like, what? I mean, and they're saying, was it part of the trial? Did he do it because of Trump? Was he trying to make a statement, or was it just totally unrelated? But, you know, yeah.
Mhm.
But think about his family and people that are now on the death watch for him. You know, they don't know if he's going to live, make it or not. I mean, it's
Mhm.
critical, you know? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so that all comes into play, like I said, all those things, you know. Uh, and would he have to start preparing, or he's gonna have a long journey back, even if he lives, to take
Hmm.
that burnt skin off and all that. Ooh,
Oh wow.
so,
Yeah, that fired
And
up.
his hand or arm melted off.
See,
oh, wow,
see. Wow. I
good
don't
gracious.
know. You
Ah,
might not make it.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know about that.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm-mm.
But you know what? People nowadays, I mean, I don't know. I think he just was going wanted to die because
Yeah,
how you really don't know if you're gonna come back from that. But did you hear about the two kids that one kid betted the one kid $1 million? No, he said cut your leg off
Uh,
and you will get insurance money and they'll give you $1 million. And that's more. I think they're like in a third world country like India, somewhere like that, or China, where he cut his leg off thinking that the government was going to pay him the
yeah.
insurance for his leg, and I think he
mm,
got like $8,000, and then they found out it was a scam. He had to go to jail.
what?
Good
Yeah.
gracious.
Mm-mm.
I didn't hear about that one, but that's the
Kids.
kind of stuff that just makes you shake your head. And, you
Yeah.
know, just the families having to deal with that craziness. Yeah. Wow. And
Yeah.
who convinced him to do something that stupid? Man, oh man.
Yeah, I was just talking to the kids this week, the boys over at the NRC program about, when you commit a crime or you do something, are you sure there's no victim?
About
You know what
that.
I mean? I said, because, I'm like, you robbing cars or do you know there's a victim there? There's like, no, there's no victim. I said, who owns the car? Who
Yes.
owns the property that you ran into? Like, there are victims here. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
not,
Yeah.
what I mean? They don't be thinking like that.
Not
Like,
need taking that
It's
far
all.
ahead.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't. Hey, you
Mm.
know, there was a book called, and I never really read it, so I always heard about it, but Weekend at Maury's was about a guy who sat down with a person who was older. I think he was dying, transitioning, but he would tell all these stories every Tuesday. Was it Tuesdays at Maury's? I think it was Tuesdays at Maury's or something like that. And he would go and just sit with this guy. This guy would tell all his life, you know. So that's a book that we may be able to look at, and this, you know, because it has a lot in there concerning what people are thinking and going through at that moment when they realize, you know, this might be, they may be transitioning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Weekend at Mars, I think that's the title, or Tuesday at Mars, I think, you know, something like that. Anyhow, and you sent me that one piece that you sent me was really powerful too. Yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff out there. We just have to put it all together. But the main thing, I just want to have Angela come on and talk about the fact that we are here. And there's a lot of folks who will probably need to have someone to talk to that may want, you know, someone to come in and work with somebody who is considering or actively transitioning at this time. And they may need that compassion and care. So, hey, we're here, you know.
Yep.
You
So
know,
Angela, do you deal with mental health?
Oh, in what capacity?
Well, like bipolar, or like I was up at Goodwin, well, the chapel part, and they had a dinner and there was a speaker there. She wrote a book. Her name was Tamu Lewis. She was the main speaker, and she wrote this book about surviving mental health tank, and talking about, people that are sort of like bipolar, like her brother. They didn't, they thought he was just a little depressed and stuff, but then he committed suicide. They didn't know how bad it was, because he was in the movies and stuff. He did a Killer Bees or something like that. And what else he do? He Friday Night Lights, he was on that. Nice looking guy. His name was Lee something. But anyway, she's talking about mental health and then going through the 5 key steps of mental health and how to maybe sort of recognize it, because you never know how depressed some people are, especially these teenagers that are killing themselves and stuff.
right, that's right.
Yeah. So what we would do would be refer out
That's right.
and give resources.
Uh-huh.
And we have plenty of connections in that regard. So, for example, there's the what is it called? The Black Therapists of Central Pennsylvania. Is that the name, official name of it? With Erica Pinckney and that whole group.
I think so.
Yeah, it was Central Pennsylvania Black Therapist. But anyhow, there's some excellent therapists in our midst that have gone and gotten training. Yeah, people like Aisha Mobley, for example, who has her master's, and she's eminently certified and doing a lot of good stuff. She's working with the Boswell Group. And then you have, like I said, Erica Pinckney and so many others. But Black, White, Hispanic, we connected to, all of them. And then also there's an organization called Chronically Strong. I can't call her name, but she's been one of my speakers for the chaplains program. Her daughter committed suicide after the 53rd attempt. So all of her life, after all of her life, she just kept kill herself, and she went to college and graduated and everything, and still all of a sudden, she just kept going back to it, and she finally was able to do it. And she just the mom got so fatigued over just, all of her life she was trying to kill herself. It's like, what is this about? So that's why she wrote a book called created an organization called Chronically Strong. She said, because believe me, you get weak at this point in time when you just feel like just giving up, and it's like, I still love this person, but I just can't do it any longer. Every waking moment, are they going to kill themselves? When they kill themselves. So anyhow, so I know where to turn to when it comes down to teen suicide and all that kind of stuff. And then there's so many other different agencies we're connected to that we can always make good referrals. And so that's something we promise to do with compassionate care. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing we want to do is educate, right? Right, Angela, have these forums where we can actually talk about these things and give them resources. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of good free resources out there too, by the way. A lot of good free resources,
Yes.
You attend, do you ever go to, you go all the time, I believe, to the Systems of Care meetings on Thursdays, second Thursday of the month?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Angela, what do you think, about 30 to 40 organizations that attend that every month?
Yeah, it's about 30.
About 30. And they do a great job of talking about what they offer and that kind of thing. So it's easy.
We have an organization come and do a spotlight on what they do and everything in the community and what their business is about.
Yeah. In fact, my
they go into the schools?
No, it's Systems of Care meeting.
Oh, you don't go into the schools, and I mean, like, when we were in school, they used to have like assemblies and stuff like that. I don't get that stuff.
Yeah, we will do that. I just spoke on Wednesday. I've been going, to SciTech. So once a month they have a career day, and I was doing healthcare, and I talked about chaplaincy and doula this past Wednesday at SciTech to about 20 to 25 students. Yeah.
I think mental health would be a good subject to talk to the kids on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
You know Dan Snowden's on.
No, I didn't know that. I can't see. I never see Dan when he comes on. I'm glad you told me that. Yeah, I'm glad you told me. So,
I think they're going to
hey,
have a mental health fair for the kids coming up. Let me check my calendar.
okay. And also there's something coming up with what's his name? Acacia Brown and the Black Think Tank. I don't know, Chris, if you have a flyer for that.
Is that in
But I
Lancaster
know
or here?
it's here in Harrisburg. It's at the Crown Plaza. And that's going to be, I forget the exact date. But anyhow, it's pretty well done. They have a lot of great speakers lined up, good panels, and they do it up pretty nicely. So, you know,
What's the charge for that?
I think it's free. Actually, it's free.
Oh, really? Crown
Yeah.
Plaza?
If you want to be a vendor, I think I know there's a cost to be a vendor, but just to go to the event, I believe
Oh,
it's free. Yeah.
No, the tickets are $20
Oh,
before,
there's the ticket price? Okay.
yes, or $30 at the door.
Oh,
Is
that's
it
a little
25? I thought
different.
it said 30. Maybe 25 at the door.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm getting an award there.
you
Oh,
you have the date?
I heard that.
It's on
Yeah.
Sunday. It's on Sunday.
Oh, this coming Sunday?
This Sunday, yeah, the 21st.
Oh, man.
From
Oh my
like
goodness.
2 to
Not bad.
6.
Sunday.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And congratulations. Your mom told
Thank
me
you.
you're being honored. Yeah, that's wonderful.
What time?
2 to 6.
2 to 6 this Sunday.
Mhm.
Yeah, let me try to pull up the flyer.
Well, let's do a couple things
Hear
here.
nothing about that.
Yeah. What time is it, by the way, too? I didn't even see. I see what Brother Chris is bringing up the flyer for us.
20 of.
There it goes. It's 20 of? Okay.
I didn't hear
That's a
anything.
great flyer. Yeah. You see they have Aisha Mobley, my brother there, Lamont Jones, and the speaker there, as you can see, is let me see, I didn't see her name, Dr. Aurelia Dominique. She's a very good speaker, by the way. Very good speaker. And they see they have a fashion show with what is his name? Come on, my man. Yeah. Looking right at him. Collins. Ed Collins is going to provide the fashion show. Plus, you see all the other names there. Earl Harris, a whole bunch of people. I don't have my specs on, but yeah. Look, let's do this real quick. One of the things that's called Dreams, by the way, Minority Business Network, and they've had some great events. I highly recommend this. Please check them out. I'm glad Dr. Dan Snowden's on. Angela, I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking. I do want to remind you, though, and remind everybody that tomorrow, from 4 to 8, we're going to have a celebration. National Poetry Month is this month. April is always National Poetry Month. So we're going to do an honoring to National Poetry Month there at 900 South Arlington Avenue here in Harrisburg. It's out there in the Union Deposit area, the United Church Center and Pennsylvania United Church Center. There you go. That's the flyer, National Poetry Month. And we have a workshop called We Wear the Mask with Maria Child. And Maria does a wonderful job. She's a great presenter, I believe. And so we're going to have Ro Brady, says she will be there to read. So happy about that. Maria, I'm sure, will be there to read. And hopefully Wendy Noche Onya as well. I will be reading as well. And other poets, any poet that comes in, it's an open mic from 6 until 8. We have a DJ by the name of Brian Dupree, who will be playing music for us, even if the poets would like music. And we will have food. We're going to have refreshments. And this is all free. There's no cost to anything, not even food. And so we're just going to have
make that.
fun. Huh?
I said I'll have to try to make that. I'm going to be at a
too.
conference with the women from 10 to 2, but I can make that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Maria's workshop is from 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And then from 6 until 8, we had the open mic. And again, we'll have refreshments and, we're going to have a little bit of everything. And just have a lot of fun. It's the Writer's Workshop Life Esteem presents National Poetry Month. And Maria's workshop is called We Wear the Mask. And I'm looking forward to that. Should be fun. And that's going to be in the dining area. So when you first come into the parking lot, you see the building. There'll be some steps that you walk down, just come right around the building and come to the dining area. And you can't miss it. A lot of fun. Come on down, everybody, to the 900 South Arlington Avenue tomorrow at 4 o'clock, okay? From 4 to 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, Reverend Gaston, I gave Reverend Thomas a flyer too for a workshop that we're having at Dayspring, a writer's workshop.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I just gave him that one to show.
Okay. All right, so hopefully it'll come up. It'll show that. There it goes.
Where is it?
Yeah, you can, if you reach out to me, I can get you registered. You have to register on the church center app. But
Okay, it's
yeah, it's on my
oh,
Facebook page. So if you go to Roe Brady Productions,
okay,
you can just click right there and register.
fantastic. And it's gonna be on the 27th.
Yes, from 11 to 2 at Day
11 to
Spring
2.
Ministries
Okay.
in Camp Hill.
So is that
27th is a Saturday?
It's next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Good, good, good.
Mhm.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. And what time
was that
again? The time is from
a charge?
No, it's free.
Oh, free.
from
Yeah.
11 to 2. Okay. Good, good,
11 to 2.
good.
Next spring.
And I was talking to the associate pastor who wanted to start this. I told her, I said, what I'd love to do is make it a monthly critique group. So those people who have started manuscripts could actually have somebody to support them to finish it.
That's great. That's excellent. Good, good, good. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing it. So it's gonna be monthly then. Oh, Reclaim the Arts. Okay, there you go. Okay, format. Okay, Reclaim the Arts Collective Home of the American Griot Project. That's great. And that's Maria Child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay. And so Maria will be there tomorrow. You want to definitely check her out. And again, we'll have the open reading, and we want all poets, writers that come out, lend your voice. Dan Snowden, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. About yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks. I know you came to read. I hope that you're gonna, let's get a little reading in tonight too. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask first off, let's do this. We don't have a lot of time. We talked ourselves out of time today. That's good though. Yeah, it's already cooled up. Okay, that's cool. So let's do this then. Ro, would you like to read something?
Sure.
Dan, you like to read, I'm sure. Nanette,
Yes, certainly.
do you have anything you'd like to read, Nanette?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'm not gonna take
All
up.
right, well, let's do this here. Let's have Dan, since you just joined us, read a piece, and then we'll have Ro read. Okay. I know we lost Neil. Neil left a long time ago, but we had Neil on. He done stuff to the thing. Angela, you still there? Okay,
Yeah.
Angela's- Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Did you have something you'd like to read or?
Nope, I'm just listening.
Okay, very good. But Angela does work with the True Group, and I understand there's 3 or 4 young people who really want to be back involved with, the Wordshop. And so we're going to figure out a way to nurture them and to really bring them under the fold as well. So, okay. So now I'm going to start with, go ahead, Dan Snowden.
All right. Here's one of my signature pieces called Hike Leader by Default, and it's about a time where, if you're familiar with Wildwood Park and the trails they have, it was one time where I led a hike along that trail.
Okay.
One April day, at a point nearing dusk, a hiking event was destined to start. Wildwood Lake Trail was the avenue of choice from where the hike for lures would depart. The time came for the event to begin, with a small group of hikers set to go, but the hike leader had to decline the event as she had a deposition in tow. Thus it became clear to all of those left that another hike leader was needed. One of the group soon came forward with a keen interest that was soon heeded. This one person then led the hike, after the rest decided to agree. Then the attorney's amble got underway with 2 singles and a family of 3. For 3.1 miles, there was much to view on the long trail of Wildwood Lake. Beautiful scenery and wildlife forms all made this trek worthwhile to take. Some rains came through during our trip, but this in no way made our group turn tail. We took a short rest at a pavilion that was found on the far side of the trail. Once the rain stopped, we continued onward through the final stages of the hike. We saw waterfowl, fishes, and frogs, and a wood turtle our little hiker seemed to like. At the end of the hike, it was certain that the event was enjoyed without fault, and the one who led the hike truly learned how to be a hike leader by default.
Good stuff. Thank you, Dan.
Certainly.
Always. All right. And Ro Bradley, if you don't mind reading a piece tonight.
Sure. Well, we were talking about spiritual enlightenment. So I thought about this one. It's called The Father is Talking to Me. Ooh, ciao. You got this thing. It's the thing that your daddy gave you. It's a good thing. It's the thing that I poured inside of you when I knit you in your mother's womb. This thing I gave you warms the cockles of my heart when you use it to its fullest. Take these gifts out of their unopened boxes. They may have room for you to fully grow into the fruition of my presence. There are those times when you hid these things under a basket and away from the light. These things are my light in you. These things are my body, my very Holy Spirit. Why do you shame the light? Why do you dampen its glow? Walk fully into my presence. See me whole. See me for who and what you are. These things are my light, my joy, my pride. Walk, my child, in this light. See me.
Real cool, yeah. I like the way you stopped at the end. You said, "See me." That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like the whole piece.
Thank
Thank you both. Yeah. I'm gonna ask Brother Chris, we didn't do one video tonight. We always try to do at least, we have about 40 usually lines up. Brother Chris, if you could share one of the videos tonight, we'd appreciate it. And then we'll do a little wrap up tonight. Maybe have another reading from Dan and from Mel.
So if you guys don't know me, I go by the name Andy Wright. If you want to follow me or check me out, I am Andy Wrights, ANNDIWRITES, on Instagram and TikTok and all of that. I got my gift from the Holy Spirit. I didn't learn how to do spoken word by anybody. Didn't even know like Christians could do spoken word. It's pretty crazy how all that turned out and stuff. But I lived my life for Jesus. I got saved when I was 16 years old. I am 19 now, so I haven't been really saved for long. But I'm saying that because I just want you guys to know that you're never too young to walk into the fullness and the anointing that God has for you. It seems very hard in this generation to live for God. So if you are very young in here and willing to live for God, props to you, because it's not easy. The world has so many voices. And it's hard, like Brother Drew was saying, to really seek and live for God. And also, I want to mention that I'm Haitian. I felt led to mention that tonight. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because a lot of us feel like we have setbacks because of our backgrounds and stuff that we've been through in our culture. However, the moment you step foot into the kingdom, there's no step back. There's a head start. Now you're light years ahead. So I just felt led to mention that. However, my question to you tonight, is God your first? Is he foremost in position, rank, or significance? Does he come before all others in time or your list? Or do you just see him as a magic genie and the only time you pick up your Bible is to rub the dust off to make a wish? God, I really need this. God, I'm looking at him. God, here's my list. God, where's my hand? Can you work faster than this? And the whole time he's trying to get the idols out your heart because you started worshiping the gifts. I'm trying to warn you to not make the same mistake I did. I fell more in love with the creation and forgot the creator even exists. This generation has become so blinded they're getting trapped in the little things. It's the little greed and the little lust, and now they're battling within. It's the little porn and the little vids, and now they're trapped in sin. And as much as you love God, a cycle has took his place. The only thing you give God is complaints when you're stuck in your ways. See, first is who God is. First is where he needs to be. First is what he should receive. First is the kingdom and then all things. Just because he's first in your bio doesn't mean he's first in your biography. If you can't start your testimony with God, then you need to reevaluate some things. Open the page, give God the pen, and let him write your story. I gave God my first and started seeing his glory. It's no joke when you offer your life to God and he does a 180. See, I'm so passionate because this is my testimony. I gave God my first and started seeing his glory. It's no joke when you give God your first and he does a 180. I practice what I preach. There's no hypocrisy. I give God my first and now there's no stopping me. If you give God what you have left, you'll be just like the Pharisees. God is too holy for me to give him something that could be found so easily. God wants your first and your best, not your last and least. God needs to be at the top of your list and your first priority. We fall so in love with the hand of God and wonder why our mind is not at peace. So my question to you tonight, is God your first? Or is there an idol that's sitting in his seat?
That's
Wow.
good.
Yeah,
Mhm,
she's
yeah.
good.
I don't know how old the young man was. Did he say his age? I
He's
didn't know if he
19.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, good stuff. Okay. Well, again, I want to thank Brother Chris as always for giving us this space here and give us an opportunity to reach out to the world. I'll say to anybody that's watching the program, hope you've enjoyed it and the information. I hope you will consider being a writer yourself, but also hope that you will consider also liking this show and then also forwarding it on to your network, all your Facebook people, Instagram, whatever platform that you can put this on. Do because we do this to share it and to encourage and inspire other people to write. So hopefully that's what you'll do. You can be a partner with us by just simply doing that one little act, that is sharing this program. We would greatly appreciate it. So I know we're going to run out. Brother Dan, give us one more poem if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Here's another signature piece of mine based on what I actually studied at the undergraduate level. It's called Geology and Life. The science of geology supports all life upon planet Earth. Without its consummate presence, human flora and fauna have no birth. If there were no geology, then no materials or energy sources would be. Thus it pays for all of us to give this science a much closer see. More importantly, without geology, water resources would be no more, and society as we know it would soon follow out the same door. Again, if no geology were here to help with understanding natural disasters, all persons who live on planet Earth would meet their collective demise all the faster. These are but a few examples of geology's role in life. Perhaps taking this science more seriously would lead to worlds of less strife.
Good stuff. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you.
Certainly.
Yes, indeed. And Sister Rose, did you have one piece that you'd like to squeeze in there?
Oh, I didn't know if we were gonna have enough time.
Let me see. Mhm.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. We have
Okay.
about 5 more minutes, huh?
Oh, okay.
4 more minutes. Yeah, 4
I'm
more
gonna read
minutes.
this
Huh?
one. It's called Words from the Bridge, and it's called series called Words from the Bridge called Good Morning Love.
Yeah.
His hold on the world is not as elusive as we think. There's a knowing that you see these lines he wears gently around his eyes tells me there were days when the bitterness of life did not blow the cold winds of despair, poverty, homelessness, and hunger. I can only imagine the younger version of this stately soul, one where pride strutted itself down the street boldly, and there was no shame or sadness in the line he laid down to all the sweet brown mamas that crossed his path. Another glance, a second thought, and a deep breath only holds those memories loosely in his hands. The strong breeze of hard times, lost wages, and love gone wrong blows them freely from his grasp. He sits on the end of the black bridge now, no home, no way of showing his worth. Black, old, homeless, strain on society. These words thrown on the wall like white paint. Pictures we don't fully see sitting now, bent but not broken, holding onto a black trash bag, toting his belongings and wares along the darkened streets like broken pieces of black soul. He smiles, his eyes twinkling like burnt, forgotten ambers that may have once reflected the light as father, brother, or son. He smiles again as our paths cross over the Blackfoot Bridge. He whispers these words, "Good morning, love." It's about a homeless man that I saw who said that to me while I was walking across the bridge.
Oh,
I remember you read that. I love that piece. That's great.
yeah.
And I like the number of times that you say like, because what you do is you're comparing. So you don't just describe it, you say it and then you describe it and you give us an image that we can hang on to.
Yeah,
And
the
I-
black bag.
Yeah, how about that? So I just want to say to people that out there that are interested in writing good poetry, that's a good technique to use, you know. Compare it to something so that we'll have a context, you know? Good
Mhm.
stuff. So again, I want to invite everybody out tomorrow evening. If you can come to the whole thing, it's from 4 to 8, and it starts with a workshop that you don't want to miss. It will inspire you to want to write and to have fun. It is called We Wear the Mask, being facilitated by Maria Chow, and she's an excellent poet and teacher, has been a professor at Central Penn College and other places, and currently is, I think, with was it Southampton or something like that, university. Anyhow, you want to come out and check it out. It's all free from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. at 900 South Arlington Avenue. And then from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., we're going to have an open poetry reading, Wordshop style, the way we used to do it. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. We're also going to have refreshments and food. And so we want you to come out for that as well. And just enjoy yourself. It's celebration of National Poetry Month, sponsored by the Writers Workshop as well as Life Esteem Incorporated. And I want to thank again Nicole Wilkerson, who wasn't able to make it tonight. Nicole's been struggling with her health thing, but she sounds much better today. But anyhow, she is our primary coordinator for that, and it's helped us out immensely in many different ways. And so anyhow, hope that you will join us tomorrow over at 900 South Arlington Avenue for the Writers Workshop, okay? In celebration of National Poetry Month. Well, I want to thank again Neil Owens for coming on tonight, Ro Brady, Nanette Swanson, Angela Bates, and also Dr. Dan Snowden, and of course, Brother Chris Thomas for doing what he does so well, engineering this program. Hope to see you next Friday right here on the Writers Workshop, okay? And don't forget,
Goodbye.
next Saturday, we're going to have that workshop over there at Dayspring. Don't miss that. God bless everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
So long.
Bye. Good night.